The quality of fabrication work on this chassis, like we couldn't just stop there. Like we had to keep up that level.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Blake. Today's star is Nick Isenhouer.
How's it going? This is their standard trophy truck, 6100 truck pre-runner platform. Diff temps, trans temps. You like that? Don't eat that. That's not good for you. It's got your standard like diff temps, trans temps. You like that? Don't eat that. That's not good for you.
Tastes a little rich, dude. No.
Tech-wise, it's not too crazy. It has like diff temps. It's got brake pressure sensors. It has all your standard temperature sending units.
Yep.
Everything's all the fans are controlled thermostatically. Thermostatically, is that a real word? With the Motec system and everything, you can fire the truck off and just drive it. Everything does its own on it.
I'm crawling under it, dude.
Get under it.
I'm crawling under it. I want to see some of these sensors and things. Man, camber rear end.
Yeah.
There's Evan Weller. I see a lot of stuff tie-wired too, obviously. This exhaust is coming out over the top of the transmission.
Yep, that's all RPM. Richard built all that.
Not something you normally see. Everything's heat wrapped. Is this all heat shield products?
Yes, sir.
Those guys are super cool. How much of a difference did that heat shield product stuff make?
We didn't even want to risk driving the car without it. So
yeah.
It's insane. Like, so inside the car, the headers themselves are wrapped. The panels are sticky shielded.
Can we see it if the hood comes off?
The hood comes off.
All right, come on, let's see it. Ugh. Couple clips.
McNeil Racing one-off clip that he's now selling to people. We're 95 F-150s.
Yeah.
He knocked this whole body out in like 3 weeks.
That's fast.
So I made like a profiled fender. Chris and I cut it up and patched it all together and made like this rough outline.
Yep.
And we thought, oh, we're set. We got this thing figured out. Like Mark's gonna be able to just splash these and we're gonna be good. And he came down and looked at it and told us what we had was garbage. So he sent a guy down and we spent probably 2 days foaming the whole hood of this truck out.
You guys foamed this thing?
Yeah, so the guy did most of the work.
What?
We just kind of helped him, show him design and layout and all that.
Yeah.
And then he took it down to Mexico, had the clip made, and literally like we had it, we tested the Saturday without it. We had the clip Saturday night, tested again Sunday with it mounted on the truck, then left for the race, I think that Thursday maybe. So it was a little close, but dude, he knocked it out of the park.
Did characteristics change at all when you had the hood versus you didn't have the hood?
Night and day different.
Really?
Honestly. And that's something we're still battling with this truck. Not that it's a bad thing, but you got to figure out all the aero of everything. So this thing acts as a big old parachute.
Absolutely.
So all the air coming up, no matter what you do, air is coming up and underneath it.
Yeah.
There's got to be somewhere for that air to go. A lot of the guys will cut big louvers out of the hoods or cut whatever just to get the air to escape.
It doesn't just hit a wall.
Exactly. So what we're trying to do though is we're trying to combat that and trying to keep the air from getting underneath it. So we've blocked off some stuff here. We've worked on, we have a couple different valances we're going to try out.
Like that, everything in the back.
So we're just trying to keep the air going over the hood because with all the coolers in the back of the truck, we need as much air as possible going inside the cab.
Yep, not around
it. We're just
it.
afraid that if we punch holes in here and we start getting all the air coming through here, it'll create too much turbulence through here and the air's gonna be pissed off going through the cab.
Yep.
The last test session we tried visor off, visor on, different this, different that, taping the hood, and every little thing is good for a couple mile an hour. Like we were doing passes, running up graded roads with like, just say for instance, like the hood being taped on.
Yep.
It was good for 2 mile an hour difference. So,
really?
Yeah, which I mean, like in a desert race, is it that big a deal? But you know, say the Mint, you've got 3 lake beds you're running across for an extended amount of time.
Absolutely.
And if you can run each lap, each lake bed 2 or 3 mile an hour faster, it'll pay off.
4 laps, yeah, 20 miles plus of lake bed out of the whole race. I mean, 2 miles an hour for 20 miles is that's time.
Yeah.
And you guys know how close some of these races can be on time.
Yeah.
I mean, let's pull this thing off. Let's see the goods, dude. You want to just take this and point it out and toss or show us the goods?
All right. So yeah, so this is a deal too. These are Evan Weller's coil packs. It gets them, like his relocation bracket, it gets them off of the valve covers and away from all the heat and gets them up on top of the intake manifold away from everything. He's done some testing with Terrible Herbst and their trucks to where they were having a problem with the coils getting too hot and actually not firing properly. So once they moved them, they actually found a more efficient engine and they actually get more speed out of the engine itself.
That's cool.
Which is pretty bitchin'. But if you look down in this rabbit hole here, behind this panel here is an 8-to-1 collector down on top of the trans, yeah. And so we have heat shield products here. This is a piece of stainless steel with heat shield, sticky shield on it to help keep heat coming forward into the engine. And then the idea of this scoop itself right here
Yeah.
is to just cram air down through that tunnel and just keep it from having stagnant air sitting inside the trans tunnel.
With so much heat getting pushed around them there, yeah.
There. Inside the trans tunnel, there's another one of these panels on top of the actual collector itself. And the collector itself is also wrapped. So there's a lot of barriers that Heat Shield helped us out putting together to keep us cool inside the car. And it's at the point now.
That's so cool. That's
at
so
operating
clean.
temperatures and hauling butt, you can bare hand all the panels inside the car and you're fine.
That's cool. Barehanded. I like it. Yeah.
Blake drives. Barefooted.
Definitely would not fit my style if I'm trying to cruise barefoot. Hey, dude, that's good. You guys got the airflow going the right way.
That's it.
Yeah.
With the LS engines, like obviously, it's a spec engine. There's nothing you can do to it, so you're trying to make as much horsepower as possible. So we've had a couple different intake tube setups that we ran on the dyno. So far, this has been the most efficient and the most power to the tires. You just want clean, undisturbed air before the math, and then you want the straightest shot into the throttle body.
Absolutely. This whole bulkhead setup is just
gnarly.
Beautiful, all X'd up, coming all the way off of the front of the bulkhead where normally a rack would be, but here's
steering box
the box you got with all those other moving parts. A bunch of stuff is CNC.
Yep. So that's
just milled, and man.
That's the John in Everson. He does all the machine work and a lot of the design stuff as well.
In-house.
So in-house. So he machined a lot of the parts for this in-house, and then Andy fabricates all of it and welds it all out.
I've met those guys, and those guys are super cool, and obviously their work speaks for it, but they are professionals at like
bunch of bad dudes,
every
man.
tier. Man, they've done a lot of cool stuff, and this project with you guys is just
super killer.
I mean, and obviously it's something that's one-off, so like for them to take that on and be like, let's roll instead of doing something cookie cutter is really cool.
That was really nice, you know, them on that part, is that they were willing to like work with all of our wild ideas, and they were super into it. They were like, they're just like us. They're just a bunch of kids still. Yeah. Build off-road trucks.
Absolutely.
So the quality of fabrication work on this chassis, like we couldn't just stop there. Like we had to keep up that level of you know, quality on everything. So everything down to like even the plumbing, like everything is through Evan Weller Racing. It's all Brown and Miller plumbing. So it's all crimp lines.
Good.
Yep, from front to back. There's the only thing I think that's press lock or like breathers, stuff like that. That's not necessarily important. But yeah, everything is Brown and Miller crimped all through Evan and his team up there. We knocked that out in like a weekend, which was pretty gnarly. That's where we did cheap out. This is from eBay. This is a car alarm.
Car alarm. Yes, I love it.
When you're in like the fourth quarter at the end, like getting ready to start the race, and you're running out of money, like these are the corners you cut. You don't buy the $300 siren. You buy the car alarm.
How much was that one?
I think it was like $12 for two.
Yeah, are they loud?
No.
It is what it is, man. So, this thing is beautiful. What other techie things you got for me?
Camberg 2.5-inch front hubs, 3 1/4 rear hubs, a JMR Trophy Truck 6-piston calipers, big Stop Tech rotors. The spindles themselves are really bitchin'. These are like the gnarliest pieces. There's no way I could ever weld anything like that. It was a shame. We had to get the spindles heat treated, and it took away all the pretty colors and all the nice welds.
Yeah.
And they just came back looking like this chalky, ugly piece of metal, and then we just painted them. So, but it's heat treated now, so we're good and strong.
What, did you steal it?
Yeah, just black
steel
steel
it.
on that.
Yep.
The headlights work. You guys want to see the headlights turn on?
Yeah, dude.
So the lights are on the passenger side.
Did they survive the mint?
Yeah. Are they on?
Oh yeah.
They're on.
Are you sure?
I mean, come on.
Turn them off again.
They're from 1995.
Oh my God. I think my flashlight from the 99-cent store is brighter, dude. Rock Auto?
Rock Auto.
Rock Auto.
So the 6100 trucks, you have to run a spec sealed LS3 engine, 525 horsepower. You have to run a Turbo 400. You have to have a straight axle in the back. You can't do any dune buggy stuff.
3 forward gears?
Yes, 3 forward gears.
Yep.
You can run an underdrive as of this year, and you can run a 40-inch tall tire. Us being at a little bit of a disadvantage not running the underdrive, we're trying to hunt for our speed and our horsepower through like trans gearing and diff gearing and converters.
Yep.
So when Blake asks me what the stall is, I'm not going to tell him.
That's classified.
It's what?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Definitely, Dynamics helped us out a ton with this, and we're
That's
still working
cool.
together on other stuff. Because that's the thing, like, if you're not progressing these things every time you drive them, then you're not being competitive and you're not striving. So even if you think you have the hot rod setup and you just kicked everybody's butt last weekend, And all those dudes are gonna figure out how to get faster than you, so you need to stay on your game. So
You guys.
we're definitely figuring it out. We haven't beat nobody yet, but we're working on it.
You're setting the bar high though. Chris, do you ever plan on putting a 6100 motor in a sealed LS3?
Possibly.
Possibly.
I think we
That'd be
could.
cool, but I mean, you got some horsepower. What's your truck put
Yeah.
down?
About 420 or so to the ground.
420? What'd you put down?
360.
360? All right. I mean, it's not too far off.
No, but you feel it. Driving this car reminds me a lot of when I had like a Ranger with a V6 in it.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Just on the pipe everywhere you go, and as soon as you slow down, it takes forever to get back up to speed. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot of that old school driving style from when we were kids is definitely paying off now. Like at the Mint, we noticed it. There's a lot of corners where you have to have faith in the chassis because you're diving deep into a corner, but you don't want to fully pull out a throttle, so you're just going into it. And that's where it's nice having a truck that corners well because you can just keep that momentum all the way through.
One last thing. Do you know what the rake is on the front end?
I left that up to John and Andy. We
Okay.
had a lot of conversations about it. I honestly don't even remember what it was at.
On how you wanted the truck to specifically
Yeah,
handle?
because we did a lot of talk about wanting to put rake into the front and having like a real solid approach angle.
Mm-hmm.
That was something we worked on a lot with the Ranger back in the day. Is we actually taken the front frame rails on the Ranger and we raked them up to where the frame rails themselves had about 10 degrees of rake into them.
10 degrees is a lot.
Yep. And then we put a bunch of caster into the beams.
Yeah.
And so that whole truck, the shocks were basically in the firewall and the wheel was pushed forward 5 inches. So that truck worked backwards because a lot of that idea came from like Volkswagen stuff, like growing up racing in Plaster City.
Absorbing the bumps.
Yes, absorbing the bump, not so much hitting the bumps like so. Growing up as kids racing Plaster City, it was always like the 5 cars, the 16 cars just going so fast, and you'd watch them jam through the big holes, and they'd come into something, and it would just, the wheel would go back. And so that's like our thought process. on how we're trying
Volkswagen
to pull
things,
something
dude.
out. That's it.
Bug life stuff.
Everything
Yeah.
comes back to a Volkswagen. It's where it all
Yeah.
started. Blake's just fishing before he gets that truck
Okay.
history
Yeah,
finished
because
up.
we're building the TT bug soon. Hopefully, I think we put like five and a half
That's
or
about
5.
that's about standard.
Yeah.
5
Yeah, you do about 5 or 6 degrees in the bulkheads, and then you
Yep.
have 13 degrees caster on the high end.
Yeah.
The A-arm setups.
There's just so much knowledge that you guys get to absorb from someone that's been in the scene forever.
Oh,
Oh.
I know what we can brag about.
All right.
This truck is 100% TIG welded.
Not one MIG tack.
Is there a MIG tack somewhere, Chris? Unless Chris did it. If Chris did it, then I take it back.
Oh no.
And the only reason we get hyped about that is because we're not TIG welders. We never were TIG
No,
welders.
yeah.
We got this truck, and we were like, whew,
It took us a solid probably like month and a half to like
get the
okay,
confidence.
Let's build a tab or do something, you know.
Yeah.
I think we started with like the panels and like tack welding all like the Zeus tabs on and everything like that.
Because you could hide them.
Yes. I think the number one question like any of us get, I'm sure you get it too, is like kids like, oh, where do I get started?
If we had $1 for how'd you start, what'd you do, it's
have,
something you
like-
got to just figure out.
Yeah, I always tell people I have like a copy and pasted response pretty much where I'm like, you buy a chop saw,
Copy and
4-inch
paste.
grinder, and a MIG welder. Get after it. And just send that to every kid that's ever like, hey man, I want to build a pre-runner. Where do I start? Buy those 3 tools and you'll rule the world. I'm the king of the world! Chop saw, 4-inch angle grinder, and a MIG welder. And you can build anything you want. You might need a tubing bender too.
Yeah, tube bender.
can borrow
yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Get a Harbor Freight kinker.
We were all there at one point.
We've all built something out of a Harbor Freight kinker. It's
Shoot.
definitely worth doing.
These boys came from a garage in Claremont where they always had one truck outside or
Yeah.
both trucks outside.
There reached a certain point where my dad kind of just gave up on having anything in his garage and knew that it was just going to be race cars for a long
Yes.
time, which is why we have the shop we have now.
Garage boys, and now they're here with this. Stallions. Stallions. Well, boys, you guys have built another wild, epic machine, which I'm sure many of you guys have seen. If you haven't seen it, where can people find some more videos of your guys' rides?
You can open up that there computer box and go on the YouTube.
The old YouTube.
On the YouTube, and you can check out Heatwave's Last Minute Mint. We are in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada for the 2020 Mint 400. Hearing stories from my dad about racing the Mint 400 in a 10 car back in the 80s and all that. And it was kind of always this thing, this out of reach thing, because it was always, it's the big leagues.
It's impressive. You boys are rad, dude. Keep doing what you're doing. Woo!